Hi friends, my name is Mackenzie, also known as Emtothethird on Instagram, Ravelry, and YouTube, and it is 2021. I think all of us are, it just like really feels like an apt time to kind of reflect and, obviously more so this year than even normally. And I'm doing the same thing. So I thought I would make this video to show you what I made in 2020 and talk a little bit about my plans for this coming year. Thank you so much for watching all my Vlogmas videos leading up to Christmas. I had such a fun time making them. I loved all of your comments, and special shout out to people who found me for the first time. It was so much fun, and I'm excited to do that every year, and I'm just really excited that it brought new people to my channel. I did want to mention to new viewers that I have a Slack channel for podcast viewers and community, and it's a lot of fun, and it's been really active recently, I think, as everyone's kind of home and hanging out. And we do occasional Zoom knit night, so if you're interested in that, I'll put the link down below to sign up, and please know that there is an open invitation for you to come join us. My podcast is a lot about body positivity, size inclusion, sustainability, natural dyes, and all of the community of people who watch it are also really interested in those things. So if any of those things that, brought you to my channel, I'd highly encourage you to join the Slack group. It's super nice just to, have that crew of people to hang out and knit and chat with. So yeah, I thought that I would go through this big pile of knits right here. It's not like from the floor, there's a little table. But yeah, it's a pretty substantial pile. There's a couple more down here. Some I gave away. It was just quite a lot of knitting. So let me take you through kind of one by one. I don't want to take like 5 hours to do this, but I do think it's a nice reflection for me, and let's take a look. So this is my list of knits that I kind of took just so that I could make sure that I could like pile everything up. I did not remember everything that I made, so I had to go through Instagram, all my grid posts as well as my stories. I went through Ravelry, which I usually keep pretty updated with stuff, but it's not like my #1 way of tracking progress, and I know that it's still inaccessible to people, so I definitely try not to rely on it too heavily. I do have some written journals, and then I also amazingly have this podcast, so I was able to kind of scroll through the descriptions of all the podcasts and be like, oh yeah, I was working on that and I finished it, so adding that to the list. So that being said, first one is this sweater, which is the Juniper sweater by Sunflower Knits. It is knit out of a sweater quantity of wool that I bought at Rhinebeck in 2019 from Sock Hill Farms, and I really like it. It's drop shoulder. When I first finished it, I was not super stoked. I thought that the sleeve length was awkward on me, and frankly, I kind of still do. And the back is a nice lace pattern. It's knit in pieces and then picked up around the sleeve, and the sleeve is knit in the round. I think that it could have been a little bit wider to be a little bit more boxy for me. I also adjusted the neckline, which I talk about a few times in older podcast episodes, because it's supposed to just be like straight across, and I knew that that would bother me, so I added some neckline shaping. There was a piece I should have, I cast off a section here, and I should have cast off like 3 stitches for a couple of rows before just starting the decreases, like knit 2 togethers up. I didn't do that, so it's a little bit like it doesn't sit like exactly how I would want it to. in addition to the sleeves being like kind of a funny length for me. Also, one sleeve is longer than the other. I tried to fix that like 3 times. All that being said, as it has gotten colder here in Boston, I have found myself wearing it around the house a lot. It's super comfy. It's very warm. It's a very like rustic wool. I love the color. So yeah, this ended up, you know, it's not perfect, and I know what I did, and I feel like every sweater is just a learning experience for me. And also telling me not to rush, because I tend at the end to get excited and kind of speed up the process and not want to go back. But while this one turned out okay, you know, there's other sweaters in my wardrobe that, you know, I've sort of fallen to the same fate. I've ended up doing the same thing. I want to say folly, but I don't know how it works into this. I can't say it and use it in a sentence. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so that's the first thing. Now I'm going to go through, I'll sort of like block it in sections. So if you're like not really interested in sweaters, you can skip to just the accessories, socks, and whatnot. So yeah. Okay, so I kind of want to breeze through and just show you some of the stuff that I made, and I hope you enjoy. One of the, you know, a lot of this stuff hasn't gotten as much wear as it would normally because we're just not leaving the house as much. This shawl I had started last year. I talked about it quite a bit, and it was not as, it was basically the depth that I wanted, but it wasn't the width that I wanted, so I ended up adding these short row garter bands on the bottom, which I ended up liking a lot. I really love the shawl. It's so lightweight, but it's woolen spun, so it's very, very warm. There's like kind of like a chartreuse undertone to the gray, which I really, really love. And yeah, I seriously like just like wearing it around the house and whatnot. It's pretty awesome. Maybe what I should do is just put everything on as I go and then just end up like a mountain of knits. So yeah, this is the Together shawl by Sophia Cameborn, and I just put some modifications on it, but I really like the way that she does the baubles on it, and this shawl is really has become one of my favorites. So then I have this little turban from Poison Girl Knits. So I knit this with some yarn that I have. It's not the weight that the pattern calls for, so I made some modifications. I cast on fewer stitches so that it would actually fit my head, but I ran out because these are 2 ties. These are 2 ties that you put into a little knot, and it gives you that cute little bow. And so what I did was, because I had some fabric that matched, is I just sewed on to the body of the knit piece of it. And that's worked really well. I really like this. I have found that any kind of wrap on my head, I really need to like put my hair up at the back of my like head. So I'll put like with bobby pins, I'll kind of wrap it up and put 2 little buns kind of, and then it stays on super well. Yeah, so I really like this funny shaped wrap. It's called the Angel Dust Turban, I think? Angel Face Turban. So yeah, it's super cute. I wear that a lot, and the yarn is naturally dyed by Sincere Sheep. Next up, I have one of many Kulkulkan hats. So this is the pattern that I released this year. It is inspired by pyramids in Mexico, in Yucatan, and yeah, so this is my first ever hat pattern. I wear this particular hat a lot. It is naturally dyed with my yarn Liminal, and I've made one in every size, which is, it's available in 3 sizes. I'll put the link below, so if you want to knit yourself one, you absolutely can. So I knit one in every size. I knit one for my grandma. I knit 2 samples for myself. I think I've knit 6 or 7 of these hats this year. So that in and of itself is a lot. But yeah, this is like the perfect fit for me. And again, like I said, I wear this a lot. Also, a lot of my knits this year were purple or like mauve. So that's a thing. So on to socks. So these are, all of my socks are a little worse for wear because I wear them quite a lot. These are the Into the Woods socks by B. Mandarins, Melody Hoffman, and they are knit with Orso Yarn Co. They're BFL yarn. So as you can see, I need to take my pilling sponge thing to them and take off some of these pills. I believe there is nylon in this yarn, but the BFL has like a really, it's like very sturdy. I think that the staple length of BFL is pretty long, so when it twists, it's like pretty like sturdy. That's like the best way that I can describe that. Yeah, so she had this like really beautiful, or they had this beautiful light pink color with like some touches of, again, this kind of like orange. I would say that my 2 colors were definitely like purple, mauvey land, and like burnt orange like this. So everything coordinates at least. So I started these in 2019, but I finished them in 2020, and I wear them a lot. They're very warm because they are not superwash. And I also knit these this year. These are a Schitt's Creek colorway from Kirby Werby Yarns. I saw the Fat Squirrel, Amy Beth, make a hat out of this colorway, and I was like smitten, and then when she said that it was a Schitt's Creek colorway, I was like, I need that. So that's by Kirby Werby Yarns. Super, super cute socks. I wear those a lot. I knit those on the only trip that we took all year, which was like early in summer, very safe, socially distanced camping trip in the backyard of our friend in Maine. So yeah, those. And then I have these socks, which I don't think I've talked about on the podcast yet. So these are the Harvest Moon socks. I knit these with a kit from Knitting Nikabi, and they're dyed with logwood. It came with minis as well as like the bigger skeins for the actual sock, and I wasn't sure that I was going to have enough yarn, so I swapped the colors, but I'm actually super pleased with how they turned out. I have to say the pattern is not super well written. However, if you are, yeah, I have to say that the pattern wasn't super well written. Like, I feel like at a point it was like, go to chart something, and that chart wasn't there. So basically what I did was I just followed the colorwork chart. I know what size works for me with a stranded colorwork sock. So I did that. I changed the heel to be a short, or a fish lips kiss heel, and then I just like followed the chart for the foot. So I basically just use the chart. So if you're pretty confident knitting socks and just want to use the colorwork chart, then I'd recommend these socks, but otherwise, or the pattern, but otherwise they weren't my favorite knitting pattern that I've ever used. And then I knit a second pair of those that are a gift for one of my best friends who somehow I had never knit anything for. Max and I both moved from the Bay Area within a year of each other to the East. So Max lives in Rochester, New York, and I obviously live in Boston. And yeah, somehow I just like haven't knit anything for them. I'm sorry, Max. I'm sorry. So I knit them a pair. I will show a picture here. And then I also knit 2 pairs of socks for my sister for Christmas, which I talked about extensively on the podcast because they took me forever to knit. So then I have 2 baby sweaters, which I knit at the beginning of shelter in place, like probably April, May. Truck driving by. Yeah. And don't tell anyone because it's still kind of a secret, but Kay and I just found out that we're gonna be aunt and uncle. So all of these sweaters will have a home soon. So the first one is the baby surprise jacket, which is an Elizabeth Zimmerman classic, that's knit out of Mondim from Retrosaria. And then I spun up some yarn for, I spun up some yarn also in April, May with a Hello Yarn dyed top, and I made this little cutie Henley. So that one turned out also super cute, and there will be way more baby knits coming at you, so be prepared. Okay, this one isn't knit, but it is a big crochet project, which was this blanket. I have knit 2 of these granny square blankets out of scrap yarn, and this one matches our living room wonderfully. It's been getting a lot of use. I was actually looking at it as I folded it up and realized it's a little pilly in some spots, so this might also need my little stone to pull off the pills. So that I finished. Whew! Right? It's a lot. I'm trying to kind of like just give you an idea, but it's like a lot. Okay, and then for Christmas time, I knit these cute little houses. How cute are those? So these are 2 patterns by Susan B. Anderson. One is called, I think, just like Little House and Tall House, maybe? I'll link all of these below. I knit these out of some more Retrosaria yarn that's been in my stash that I like loved the colors of. But sort of, I only bought 1 skein of each. I think they're only 50-gram balls, so I didn't know what to do with them. And then this blue color is actually a complement yarn to the turban that I showed you earlier. So from Sincere Sheep, I got this color as well as that like chartreuse. And I thought this just went so well with the rest of the Retrosaria yarn. That yarn is called Bruska, I think. Yeah, so I saw these little houses and I was like, ugh, I really want like a little Christmas village. Look, also this like matches me. Coordinated with a house. So I saw these patterns and I was like, I have to knit those. Like, and I envisioned myself knitting more, but they actually just, these 2 work so well with all of our Christmas decor. I ended up, it doesn't say to do this in the pattern, but I ended up basically taking like a little piece of fabric, because you close it up here and stuff it at the top. So I took like a little piece of fabric, I didn't like sew it in or anything, I just laid it on the bottom, and then I filled it up with a bit of beans, dried beans. So they're like little hacky sacks really. And then I stuffed it full of some alpaca wool that I had. Yeah, so they turned out just like so cute. I like kind of can't stand it. And they were very easy and enjoyable to knit. I don't really like knitting stuffies that much. But these ones I would definitely recommend. So I might not even put them away with the Christmas stuff, and I might just like hang them up in my office because they're really cute. Okay, I think that's everything aside from the rest of the sweaters. So I haven't even shown you this finished sweater because I've finished it since my last episode. This is the Sassy cardigan from Peace Fleece in Harrisville. So it is designed for Peace Fleece, and I had a bunch of Peace Fleece in my stash. There are optional shoulder pads. It's knit in pieces, and I've been wearing it. It is very warm, but I'm a little like lukewarm about it, I think. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a very basic cardigan, so there's not anything to be like super excited about. And look, it again, purpley mauvey orange, right in my wheelhouse. I use these buttons, which are little wood buttons, from, if you'll remember my like retirement sweater video. I'll put a link up here. Actually, I'll put a link up here. That's where it is. I haven't done this in a while. I'll put a link up here. I took these buttons off of the scissor sweater that I knit and put them on here, and I think they work really well. But I think I need to block it, and I think I'll probably feel better. The seams ended up feeling very bulky to me. I didn't trust my gut when I was knitting it to add like they had you do, on the body it was okay, but they had you do some shaping not far enough in so that I didn't feel like the stitches where I was doing mattress stitch and then seaming everything together was super clear. So I think I need to trust my gut when a pattern doesn't include enough like leeway to make sure that the finishing looks nice, to make sure that I'm able to do that. But again, I think if I block it out, I'll be able to kind of smooth out some of these like bulky seams. I mean, they're okay. Well, don't look too close, but they are okay. And then I think it'll really feel a lot better, and I'll get more wear out of it. So note to self, Mackenzie, go block your sweater. And then I have this lovely sweater, which I wear a lot, which is the Cotton Grass Jumper by Petite Knit. Petite Knitter. And I love it. I made it short sleeve because I run very warm generally, so I wear this because it is dyed out of my yarn to yarn shows when they're happening, and yeah, it's really one of my favorite little sweaters. I would have to say I made it a little bit shorter than I probably would in the future, but I still wear it all the time, and it's perfect over dresses. I think maybe I just need to make myself a couple of dresses. That's not the end of the world. I did add some extra short row shaping in the back, so you can see that the pattern changes a little bit from the front to the back because I inserted the short rows like within the color work. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm also just really happy with how Liminal, which is this yarn, has held up over a lot of wear. So you can see I haven't depilled it or anything, and it looks really good. I did notice that I have a little stain on it though, so gotta take some Eucalypt into that. then another one. I have, this is just gonna look a mess, but this is the Ballerina Wrap top, which is a free pattern available through, I think, Lion Brand wool, but it's a short sleeve wrap top, and I knit it out of Juniper Moon Farm Zoe, which is a linen cotton blend in this lovely color, and I wear this thing all the time. It's so cute and lovely. Wear it with dresses, with skirts. Yeah, I highly recommend that pattern. It was excellent. I have said this before, but I honestly will knit more of those because they just fit me so well, and I just really, really love it. Okay, last, I didn't mean to save like my one disappointment for the end, but I had knit this Sayer tank by Julie Hoover. I had knit this whole back piece before. Okay. And then I knew I was going to run out of yarn, so I decided to do like an intarsia front so that I could use 2 yarns. But they weren't very compatible. The edge is really coming up, and it just ended up very large. I'm not opposed to oversized things, but it really doesn't fit like up in the shoulders, and it is very big. And I just couldn't style it in a way that I enjoyed. I've thought about cropping it and making it shorter and adding ribbing, and I still am not opposed to that idea, but I was so confident that it was going to work out that I was really disappointed when it didn't. So for now, it's just kind of hanging out. Either I will give it to a friend or family member who could pull it off and wear it and make it look beautiful. Or I will, I don't know. I don't really want to unravel it because this yarn was pretty fragile. This is also from Sincere Sheep that I got from a friend who was destashing in Oakland. So I've had it for quite a while, and it's a like raw silk and linen, but it's a delicate yarn, and that's like just the nature of it. It's a beautiful fabric, like really exquisite, and I hope that I can find something similar to knit with in the future, because I think Brooke stopped dyeing on this base because just the garment is so lovely. I really wish I'd had enough for like a cardigan for the summer. But yeah, so that's kind of a wah, wah. But you know, you can't win them all. It's fine. Yeah, so that's all of my knits, aside from things that I have gifted that I did in 2020. Isn't that bonkers? Because I feel like it's a lot. Knitting for me just brought me a lot of comfort. I think for a lot of people this year. It brought me community. We did a lot of Zoom hangouts with the Slack podcast crew. So if you are part of the Slack channel or part of, you know, any of those Zoom chats, just know like it meant so much to me, and I'm just like so grateful to be in community with you. And if you're looking for a knitting community and you're feeling, you know, a little lonely, completely understandably, you're more than welcome. Like open arms and hearts and all of that stuff to come hang out with us. And yeah, I really, really hope that I will see you there. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye.